First of all, the definition in the video versus God definition are totally different. For example, I'm assuming that this particular YouTube user would support the killing of a child up until birth, and the mother can still choose to kill it. So you're saying, why does God demand the death of so many, quote, innocent people, and yet would you be so quick to support a woman's so-called right to kill an unborn child, or even up to birth? Second, according to the Bible, all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. So there is no one innocent. The only one that ever was innocent was Jesus Christ, who was God in the flesh. Third, the verses that are used in this video is based on a limited number of people under a limited time frame where they agree to the terms. For example, the very terms that a U.S. Marine would agree to is not the same for the rest of the population. That's a point that I want to bring up here. But looking at the verses that are mentioned, consider being stoned to death for working on a certain day of the week. Well, that was a certain time frame under those that agreed to the terms. It didn't happen with Adam, Enoch, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob, but it was under a certain time frame called the Law of Moses. If you look in the New Testament, in Romans chapter 14, under the New Covenant, a person decides how important each day is, as long as they put the Lord first. And no one gets stoned to death, by the way. The second one, there's a clear contradiction that is brought up. How did this YouTube creator consider rebellious as innocent? That's just a contradiction. How can a person claim that God should not deal with the rebellious son that is not innocent, but then lump them in as innocent even though they are rebellious? Next, why only focus on one particular sexual sin? That's not the only sin a person could be put to death for. Lying with the beast, as well as being an adulterer, was also a capital offense. I find it interesting that Joseph, who was engaged to Mary, realized she was pregnant, but instead of having her stoned to death, he was mindful to divorce her privately. And yet the Bible calls him a just man. Actually, he didn't divorce her because the angel of the Lord then afterward appeared to him. But his thought process was to do it privately, which brings us to a point where many times God desires mercy over judgment. Yet this YouTuber, only concerning Christians, seems to prefer judgment over mercy, except if they forsake their faith. Finally, there's a difference between murder, killing an unborn because it's your so-called right, and judgment in order to cut away a cancer that will spread. So before you go on any kind of rampage of how God can kill so many innocent people, you might want to consider the so-called right to kill an unborn child, for their only crime is that they exist.